Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Flow, presented by Crash Bell. We are here, we are live, we are on. So, it's been a very tough week for us Cowboy fans, but we're not going to go too much into that. But I do have to air out some grievances, as what I saw was I came up with a new phrase, Mike, and unfortunately I cannot say it on the air, but it would represent it was definitely that. It was some isms for sure. But it's interesting because that the phrase would specifically speak to the amount of burst or speed that Dak Prescott was playing with, and it was embarrassing. But it was also good to be in a bar where there was a lot of Cowboy fans, so we were all together super disappointed as we were all shouting at the screen and the TVs. So it was camaraderie on how much we were upset about this crap that we saw of a game. And the thing that upset me the most was that they decided to play football at the end of the third quarter. I was really mad about that part. Like, just stop. Why are you playing now? No. What are you doing here? And I have my issues. People are like, "Oh, what next year?" And I'm like, "Dude, always. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. I I have loved them since I was a child, and I will not, no matter what, no matter who comes on the team. I will always be a Cowboys fan. I personally feel that it is. I felt that Dax gave me the same feeling that I had with Tony Romo, and now I feel that maybe it's time for Dax to go ahead and move on. I don't know. I don't know. I'm feeling away. I'm feeling away. Yet, I wanted to support Dax so much. I've been supporting him this whole time. I've been rooting for this guy. And then the shot that we get, one of the best shots we've had. And then the defensive coordinator clearly can't see from the booth that they're running pretty much the same running play every single freaking time. Strong left, cut right, cut back. Let's go. It was clockwork. I was like, come on, guys. Put somebody on the backside. Stop everybody running to one side of the field. But with that, I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let that banter go because we are not going to discuss the disgusting situation that the Cowboys put us in as fans to support them. You made it difficult for us, everyone, Cowboys. And I have some other theories that I also want to say on the air because I don't want to get in trouble. But when it comes to sports, I really do truly love sports from all sides of it. Not only being an athlete and loving the the intelligence of what it takes to actually comprehend some of the games, but also the skill set, right? You can't just be smart. You have to be really skill set. You have to have a skill set in order to play these sports. And so I am, a huge fan, but also on the wellness side of sports, on the recovery, on the medicine side of sports, that stuff drives me a lot. And the whole time I've been watching, sports, I'm always checking to see like who is, you know, hurt and how can I tell in their gameplay, right? Whenever you see specific players that, let's say, a quarterback hurts their thumb and still they're able to adjust their mechanics to get that ball out without actually injuring themselves too much more. That's science, guys. That's science. It's not easy to do. Not only is it still going to hurt, but you also have to rely on muscles that you didn't use as of yet. So that's kind of cool, that we have these players that can shift, but at the same time, you also have to know when too much is too much. It's a fine balance. Now, let's talk about something more local. I actually, I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be a really fun weekend of football. I wish that I was watching some Cowboys this weekend, but it's cool. Um, Mike, how do you feel about this week's picks? Where are you leaning towards? Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping. I really am, and specifically because I actually really enjoy watching Stroud play, while at the same time I like watching Jackson play. Now, I'll be honest. I actually don't necessarily think Baltimore's overall team is spectacular, but because Jamar Jackson is like a reincarnated of Michael Vick, um, he's like amazing, and I can't wait to see what happens today. Those two quarterbacks are going to show out, I think. Um, I hope Green Bay and San Francisco tie so that they both can be out. Is that a thing? Can you do that in the playoffs? Can you tie? Yeah. Yeah, but then if no one wins, if they just never score, does it go on forever or do they call it? Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, if that could happen, that'd be great. But obviously, um, I don't know. I think San Fran's definitely going to take that one. We'll see. But there was something that I actually had a really cool conversation with some young athlete last night. We were at a local event, and it was amazing. Specifically because she is, and I don't want to call her name out, and not to put anybody out there, but she is an athlete that plays on the track team, that runs on the track team um, at the Islanders. And she not only is a part of the track team, but she also, which is really cool, she gets paid by the NIA, not by the NIA, but she like now athletes are allowed to get sponsorship, you know, NIL. Thank you, NIL. Thank you. Now, what do you think about that? Like, I think that's really cool and totally wished it existed whenever I was a athlete. But yeah, she gets paid specifically. It's not a little bit either. I asked her, and I was like, let me just ask you, right? How much you getting paid? And it's thousands of dollars a month. And I'm like, whoa, just to, she does stuff with Adidas. And then she's really fast too. So I guess she's good. I'm gonna look her up more. Because she was talking a lot last night about her greatness, and she actually said she ran the 460. No, was it the 400? Yeah, I think it was the 400, like 61 or so. I don't know, something. Maybe the 800. I don't know. She was fast though. She's fast enough clearly to be able to do that, right? And so I challenge all of you, if there are any young listeners out there, any young kids that are athletes, there's potential for you all now. You guys can go out there, show your stuff, market yourself right, and you can get one of these deals. You can find a company to pay you just specifically just because you're good at what you do, and you don't have to wait for the college to. College is raking it in off your name and your number, so why not take advantage of it? And one other local thing that I did this week that was kind of amazing over at the art museum. There was this event called crap. It was at the House of Glitter. So sorry, it wasn't called crap. Sorry, it was called House of Glitter. That's the company name, and it's a dance company out of Rhode Island. And the founder of the company, they come back to Corpus because they're born here, and they hold events for local artists to perform around Corpus. And so they had a performance at the art museum on Thursday, which is the third Thursday of every month. I don't know if you all know, but if you don't, show up at the art museum. It's a family friendly event. They have art, they have vendors, they have performances, they have poetry, they have many of things that happen. But the cool thing is it's always different. So I thought that it was really cool because when you have people that are giving back, like that was a great example of someone being from here, moved away, has a business somewhere else, but they still take the time out to come to Corpus and feed their community. And it's quite great because they do stuff around historic like landmarks as well. So they're art, but they preserve history. It's a very interesting concept. I've never heard anything like it. So check those guys out, House of Glitter. They did a amazing performance. They from all over poetry. The singing was amazing. I like even my me and my wife and my son were like, I'm gonna cry. They, they hit that note again. It was amazing. But with that said, we have a guest in the house. Just came in looking like he's from Texas. But Mike, this guy's not from Texas. Don't let him fool you. But he came in looking like a straight Texan. And that's cool because this young man is not only a super smart guy, but he's well adaptable in his environment. Now, I actually met this young fellow. He happened to be my neighbor when I first moved here from New York City. He happened to also move here 3 weeks later from New York City. So why shouldn't we hang out, right? We had pigeons on our balcony. We had a neighbor that was from New York. It was heaven. Unfortunately, there was a pandemic. But this young man, Chris DeRose, not only is he super smart and intelligent, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about himself. But he's actually been a very a big staple for me to integrate into Corpus because, during the pandemic, coming into a new city, you don't really get out. You get to meet people, and he happened to be right there. So, Chris, what's going on, man? Yeah, let's fix his mic. His mic, Mike. Mike, what's the mic about? Mike? No, I'm joking. Speaking to the light, Chris. Speaking to the light.
Good morning, Omar. Yes. So there we go.
You can't have the gangster lean in the seat when you're talking into the light. Unlike Whitehurst. It's like way back here. But yeah, so tell Corpus about yourself, man. Obviously I just gave them a little insight that we are friends, obviously, and we're neighbors, and we became almost like like a little brother, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was what were the chances that I moved down to Texas and the guy and his wife next door were from Brooklyn? I mean, that was pretty. There,
Keep going.
there we go.
Yeah.
The odds of that were pretty slim.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was integral to me assimilating here too. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's awesome.
I came down here during pandemic. Came down with a girl who got a job down here,
Yep.
and I was just nothing was going on in New York. Everything was shut down. He goes, "You want to go to Texas?" And I was like, "Why not?"
Yeah. Yeah. And and he didn't just move because he's an idiot that followed a girl. He actually set himself up here. So tell everybody what you do, Chris.
So yeah, when I was back in New York, I did an assistant district attorney in New York City, and then came down here and got admitted as an attorney in Texas, and did criminal defense down here for about 2 years, and now I do civil litigation.
Nice.
So it's just transferable skills and kind of setting yourself up. So I like to tell people that I'm from New York. I might talk a little bit funny, but I live next to a Whataburger. I gained 20 pounds, and I bought a pair of cowboy boots.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. Me and Chris have had conversations about like whether or not it's going to make sense for him to even stay in Corpus versus leave and go back to New York. But you stayed.
I did. I did. And after my relationship with that girl ended, I stayed. I kind of made a life here for myself.
Nice.
I love Texas. I love Corpus. I think, friends. I mean, almost, family at this point. It's a place I call home.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we're here. We're going to stay. And like all of you have heard before, I was born here, but I didn't think that I was going to stay when we moved back from the pandemic because it wasn't a definite plan. It was more like a pass through. But there's so much potential here. There's so much things that you can do here, and even as far as like the amount of wealth that you can bring into this from here based on your overhead being so low, like
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
killer.
compared to a place like New York.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't like New Yorkers and Californians moving to Texas, but
Yeah.
a lot of people are trying to California or Texas. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I'm here. I've assimilated. I bought a pair of cowboy boots. I got a cowboy hat now.
Yeah.
I eat breakfast tacos on the regular. So I've really came to assimilate and appreciate Texas and Texas culture.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that people have been doing in Texas since Texas was
Yeah.
Texas. I mean,
Yeah,
even
big time.
going back to even when the Spanish came here, right?
Yep.
So you have people coming from other places,
Yeah.
settling a place, and they're kind of bringing their influence into it.
Yeah.
People did that when they came here to make it what it is today.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. Being a patron of both states for a number of years, there's actually something that it wasn't until I came back to Texas and I saw it full fledged. I always knew it when I was in New York, but whenever I came back to Texas to live here, I recognized that Texans and New Yorkers are so much alike. And I know people can't understand what I mean by that because they think sometimes the differences in cultures are so far from between. But the reason that New Yorkers and Texans are the same is because they have the same amount of state pride. Like the state pride that a Texan has and the state pride that a New Yorker has is foundational and it is what builds their character. So much, excuse me, so much that you can tell a Texan when they talk and you can tell a New Yorker when they talk. I don't know. The only other place that I can tell what they're going to be like when they talk is people from Minnesota because they always talk like Minnesota and it's very much like this and and I was up there and I was doing my thing and so I've met people from Minnesota. Now, I think it's pretty cool and I think that's why it's so easy to be honest, New Yorkers to transition into Texas is because they also feel that same like that they sense that state pride. They sense that same that feeling that camaraderie that they had in New York.
Yeah, I mean, when I first came to Texas, when I saw the state flag, that's something you see in New York.
No, not at all. What state flag looks like in New York?
Like, I felt like I was in another country, especially downtown now, and all of the state flags above the buildings. I think that's great.
Yeah,
There's so much state pride, and New York. Yeah, there's state pride, but there's more really New York City pride.
yeah, that's true. Because New York State is a beast. It's much bigger and wide than people think.
Yeah, but people don't really realize people who come from New York to Texas since the Alamo. I mean, two of the defenders that died at the Alamo were for New York.
Yeah,
Went there last year. So,
interesting.
so it's nothing new.
Yeah,
And I think that the state pride similarities are definitely there.
yeah,
But I think that like a place like Corpus, like we have so much going on here now.
yeah.
And it's only going to get better.
Yep, that's true. And with that, we're going to take a little break and hear from our sponsors, and we're going to come back and talk about that better. Yeesh. Huh?
Sorry.
No, it's not good. A lot of times the person that's going to be on air, they don't show up while in the middle of this. I mean, they don't show up before the show unless they want. Like sometimes it'll come on in the last 15 minutes. Sometimes it'll only be on for like 5 minutes. Oh, wow. Yeah. Like it's not always like a full show where everyone take up. But
This
yeah, it's nice. Really good hat. Where'd you get that?
I don't think it's called this. It's a bison. This is
You cut motherfucker with this shit. This is a good made hat, bro.
Stetson, yeah. So it's $150 hat, but I had an $80 gift card. So
Yeah. Great. But yeah, nothing no big.
what's up?
Business is huge. Um, other than business, I just gotta make sure that I could hear so that we come back on. Um, yeah, man. Just using this platform as a marketing tool, just to get on the air and I want to really build this into something that we start doing um, with the bank center and what you call it. So that's going to be something that we're working on as far as just building relationships to have the players on the show. And these guys are helping out a lot, which is really cool. So I get like
We should want to, about legal issues and stuff. We do that too.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, let's do it. we can actually set up something. Do you guys have like a specific time of the year where like things happen on a major scale for like
No,
attorney
it just
stuff?
always happens all the time. If you want, we can get like a couple people, like another attorney.
Yeah, you know we can get on. I've been making friends with Matt Manning.
I was about to say we can get Matt. Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt actually called me to be on some show for criminal defense, but I really do much criminal defense anymore. But I can speak about it. They, really cool. Yeah.
Back on. You have the talent. Oi! It's my favorite part. My son added that. That's great. So yeah, back to Corpus, back to the goodness of Corpus. I want to just dive right into this because we only have like 8 minutes left. So Corpus and everything that's happening here, it's going to grow. It's growing. You know, we always point out the industries, the things that they are to do. But this is the thing, and Chris, you can attest for this because I actually I pressure Chris to get out of the house a lot, like all the time. And at the end of the day, what what Chris was saying as far as this place growing, it really comes down to two things: the potential of the actual city and the development for the small businesses here have a lot. The development of the real estate is still booming. Like that's like especially going our way towards Yorktown. It's crazy out there now. Like I don't know how they're gonna have to widen that road, bro. There's no way in hell that people are gonna be able to fit.
I think Fortress in definitely 10 years, but maybe even the next 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very different city.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that there's going to be a lot more people, a lot more businesses, eventually, more professionals, things like that. More there's more people in general.
Yeah.
You know, it's we have so much to offer here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know the corporate potential has been something people have been talking about for years, but especially with the completion of the new bridge, whenever they get it done.
Yeah.
That opens up all of North Beach to development.
Yep.
And
I like what you said because I do hear a lot of people, no matter what industry or where I'm talking to, whether they're high level, super rich, or board members, everyone is saying the same thing about how the people that run Corpus don't want Corpus to grow, and I understand that, and I get it, and I understand how you don't want the city to change so much because you want your little special place. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is there are so many people moving here that you can't stop growth. And Corpus is built for growth because it has industries that bring people back and forth all the time. You have the Navy and the Coast Guard. Those guys are always coming here to and fro. And actually, I spoke to a young group of islanders, and I mentioned something to them about the difference of how Corpus is different from other places in Texas, specifically because it's smaller. It has a smaller congestion rate, so it's a spread out city, but it's nothing big like a Dallas or a Houston, right? Or San Antonio even. But the fact that they have so many different types of people that come here often, it actually influences the culture of Corpus. And the reason that I was able to move to a place like New York and adapt so easy because I also was like my dad who came to Corpus wasn't from here. He came here because his dad was in the Navy. So, like I was literally born due to the same influence of some outsiders coming to move here, live here for about 5 years, and once they got deployed off to another place, there it is. And so, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things we have going for us is not only people coming to film, but geographic location. Yes, we're a little, in terms of uh, the other Texas cities, major cities, we're maybe out right away compared to those. Not like El Paso, but but I mean, uh, we're the largest port closest to Mexico.
That's special. And there's just so much. Like, I actually like this little bit of winter that we're having because it makes me feel that the seasons can change. feel sorry for all the palm trees. They're getting beat up right now. And the wind is like making it -7. It sucks. But what I will say is that the amount of activities, like the wind sports are going to start kicking back up. Baseball is going to be kicking back up. We have hockey going right now. There's so much to do. There's so much going on.
Are we getting an arena football team too?
Yeah, the Dragons. They've can't talk too much about that contract, but they're solidifying for this next coming year, and that's gonna be another fun thing to do. But I will say, if you all are looking for something, because a lot of things that I've noticed too with Corpus, and I'll like just really mention this quickly, is that it does have a very heavy drinking culture. And so I find that a lot of times people don't go places because of alcohol involvement. And I can understand that. And I can also say that, if you have the willpower to go in a place that you don't have to buy alcohol, but still go to have fun. Like last night, I went out, didn't have one drink, had water all night, and hang out in the bar and the club, and dance and play pool. It's like people associate they have to drink just to have fun in Corpus. And also, if there's not drinking involved, then they also won't go. So it's like, well, we got to give and take, guys. This is give and take because there's so many things that are going on that offer opportunities for people to explore, just like on the third Thursday that I was just talking about. So glitter.
I think that you could see that development downtown that'll change that a little bit, where people be able to walk places.
Hmm.
But I mean, generally, Texas in general is not a walk place.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's fun. But I do like what you said because as you start to see this downtown area develop, I do see people walking more from Star Street all the way down to what is it, Lomax? Still learning the names. But you see people moving in and out of the downtown area, and that's what you really want. You want to have an area where people can even eventually there will have to be some type of safe passageway for people to even cross over once they start developing more on this side of the town near Fort Heritage Park. Because during the Jazz Fest last year, me and my son, we actually decided instead of walking from the over we were at I think we were at Surf Club, I think that day. We got on a little green lime scooter. Scooted right over to the Jazz Fest. It was literally one of the closest things I felt to being in a eco city, if you will, right? A city that is going to be walkable, that is actually designed to get people to and fro minus cost.
Definitely. And like I said, Texas in general is not walkable. Like maybe downtown San Antonio.
Yeah.
But you go to Houston, you can't walk.
No way. No. It would take you 2 weeks. But with that said, it is our time. Thank you, Chris, for being on the show. We're going to have you back on. It's always good to talk to you, brother. It's always good to have your support. Corpus, it's going to be a fun week. And if you all are still struggling with those New Year's, come back next week. We're going to talk more about that situation of the New Year's resolution that maybe you're struggling with. Until then.